Hey everybody, Car Dreamer here, coming at you on behalf of D-Class Derailed and all things D-Class related. And today I am here with a special guest friend and co-worker, a Demi-Human. That's right, he's only semi-human, and I judge him hard for it.
And we don't talk about what the other semi part is yet. We're not, that one's still patent pending. But I appreciate you having me back. This is gonna be a fun talk. I can feel it.
I'm more disturbed that there's a patent even in the works for whatever the second half is. There's a reason I haven't pursued it, and I was kind of scared by it. He's got a patent in on it, which means he's proud of it. That just makes me more worried.
Well, I mean, I also gotta make sure, like, if I get sued, or if someone tries to steal it, I can sue somebody. We're in a recession, man. I gotta be able to get my money how I can get it.
Famous last words until he's on a street corner peddling some questionable substance. That's what he tells the booking officer. Look, man, we're in a recession. I need my money however I can.
First of all, I don't have any questionable substances.
You sold them all.
I only live by one substance, and that's clearly crack cocaine. But that's another story.
So today's discussion is about cocaine. No. All right, so I mean, really, that almost sounds like a better topic now.
Probably.
Good night, everybody. We're done. You ruined the whole discussion before we got started. Actually, no. Okay, so our discussion tonight is going to be about the movie Brightburn. So this came out a couple years ago. It's not that old. And basically the concept was a quote-unquote horror version of Superman. Now, I don't mean legitimate Superman. His name's not Kal-El. It's not Clark. It's not DC-based, but it's a play on that origin. But if he had decided to go in a completely superiority complex, I'm better than you mentality.
Yeah.
And this, I saw it not too long ago, was telling Demi-Human about it, and we got into some interesting debates about who would win who or what would happen if so-and-so met this person. So I think the first good points is just to talk about the movie in general. Like, what were your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, okay. So, and it's funny, I guess, just to sort of follow off of what you said, that I think initially when I had started, I think when you asked me about it, I was like, okay, well, I started watching the movie even prior to you watching it, and then I went back and like actually decided to sit down and watch it, and it was like, I will say it was definitely it was a different spin on it, and I think it was the way that they were able to sort of tie in everything. Like, I felt like there weren't any like just random things that seemed to not really fit into the movie, and I think it's also because of the fact that they had sort of a criteria to go off of, which makes it a little bit easier. It's not like they were just trying to fly off the rails with it.
Ha Sorry. That was kind of like two puns in one. I mean, the channel's name is Derailed on this one, and he flies. I mean, really.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it until after I said it. I was like, okay, well. But
that was a pretty bright one.
Oh my, we're gonna do this all night, aren't we?
Oh yes.
But yeah, so initially for me, just as a movie, I thought that was kind of nice, and I think I sort of appreciated I think the part that added a bit more of a like horror aspect, because it's not even necessarily like one of those movies that like you're fully scared, or I wouldn't even say. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have that like that real like underlying horror, like there's something you need to be inherently afraid of. But I do think the thing that added like that sort of like creep factor to it, to me, or for me, was
No,
the
I
fact,
totally
like,
agree.
yeah, and I think the big thing for me that was sort of a good point that they sort of went with was the fact that um they made him sort of go through all of these changes as a teenager, as opposed to him growing up and then turning into like this complete like opposite of what Superman would have been. Um, so like it's very much like it's very much like it seems very much like a coming of age story, because like he's a kid and he goes through the basic things that every kid goes through at some certain point. But I think the fact that like it then adds to the fact of being like, oh well, now he finds out he's like overpowered in comparison to everybody else, um, sort of adds that like that creep factor of being like, to me, I almost think about it in terms of like of you look at things like that and you almost think about like the really quiet kids at school that you don't know what they're capable of. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Though, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where you're just like it's different if it's a like it's one thing if it's an adult. I feel like with adults you sort of have like there's sort of a tell with them. Like I feel like adults have sort of already sort of had this like mentality that's already sort of pressed in them, and when someone sees sort of like a surly looking character, they sort of go the other way. With a kid, it's not the same. You're just like kids are still trying to figure themselves out. So like if a kid's got ill intentions, you don't necessarily see it right away. And I think they did a very good job of sort of playing to that narrative. But yeah, those are my basic thoughts just off the bat. But we'll definitely talk more about it.
So I think I agree mostly with everything you said. I definitely agree that even though they tried to give it that horror look and resonance,
Hmm.
there is nothing legitimately a horror movie about it. Like it's more at this point what you would expect from. So it's like there was a difference between like when you watch the first Nightmare on Elm Street and you're scared because there's a creative way he's doing things, you don't know what to expect. But by the time you get to the sixth one, the seventh one, you like there's nothing horror about it. It's still classified as a horror movie, but you're not scared because you know what everything's capable of. So when you're going in knowing that he's got basically this Superman origin, you kind of know what to expect, that it's just going to be violent about it. And really the grotesque stuff comes from the deaths that are in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoiler, spoiler. Now that you've heard that, um,
I was also going to say, are we doing spoilers?
I think we can do spoilers. The
Okay.
movie's been out for a while. If you haven't watched it yet, well, shame on you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was gonna say hopefully this conversation makes you want to watch it, but I was gonna say there there isn't again to your point there isn't anything the idea of like there isn't anything like inherently scary about it to make it like a horror movie except for the scene with him and his uncle, and like just seeing the uncle's jaw, just like I there were a
That made
lot.
me cringe, but that wasn't
Oh,
horror. Like nothing scary about it.
oh no, no, like I wouldn't even say like not necessarily saying that it was scary, but yeah, again to the point that like I don't think there was anything that really made me like shudder that much except for that. Like even
That's
getting
for
even the cop getting run through. Like I thought the cop was going to be the one to stop him with the way that they were making it seem like he was like really investigating. He just runs through the house and just gets fully
he didn't
just
even get. Oh, you're talking about the female cop. Because at first I thought you meant the one that lasted literally half a second.
no, I meant him. I meant him.
He literally didn't even go to the house. He got onto the porch, so you got splat, done.
And
Like, it
yeah,
was a fine miss that he was just gone.
I was just like, that's wild. They didn't even like, and it was so funny because like I felt like they made him seem so foreboding, like for the most part, because he was the one that was just like He was the one who was looking at all the clues. He was the one that was sort of connecting the dots. And then he gets to the house and it's just gone.
Yeah, he's kind of like the officer in the Freddy versus Jason, where he's putting the clues together, and then you're like rooting for him, like to be the pseudo hero, and he's just like, no, there's no such thing as a pseudo hero, or
that's
the
a good point.
lack of a better term, the bounty hunter from Jason Goes to Hell, who knew the history of the Voorhees, but he still died. I think.
Oh, yeah, that's also a good point.
So yeah, I really enjoyed overall the movie. It's definitely in general theme, like you said, it's a kid dealing with. It's an awkward kid, It's one of the ones that were nerdy or a little quiet, or not that you didn't know what he was capable of, but you knew he was one of the ones that were on the borderline of being bullied.
Yeah.
He's already being teased. You knew he was going to start getting bullied, but the problem was, or I shouldn't say the problem. He was kind of on the cusp of it, but then when he started coming into his powers and he crushed the girl's hand, everybody was like, "I ain't dealing with him." Oh no. Put a kick me sign on him. You're not gonna live to see the way he'll kick you. He'll be the one who could literally put his foot up your. I mean, and he kind of really, there's going to be comic book references. I'm going to get that out of the way now. There's no way to avoid a comic book reference, given that it is basically a Superman origin.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a boy who came from another world. You don't know why. He came as a baby, came into his powers at a young age. But I would argue this is more. It's not, even though the basis isn't Superman, but it's not even Superman. This is more like the Superboy Prime history, where he's got the powers as a teenager. He's coming into his powers, but instead of being the good guy having these adventures, whatever, he finds out that he's an alien, and he's like, you know what? His attitude is, all this crap that I've been going through, I realize I'm better than all of you, and I'm going to mess with you. I'll show you I'm better than you in all the wrong ways. Whereas it's like, he's not here to inspire hope like Superman was. He's here he's just basically, I'll keep my secret, but don't piss me off, because then you're going to learn it the hard way.
Exactly. And I think sort of going off of the whole Superman narrative again, like I will say that, like, to me, I also thought about it in terms of, like, the only other time where I can sort of envision, like, a Superman that sort of realizes his power sort of around his teenage years was like that small glimpse that we got from Man of Steel with the whole bus scene when it was about to when the bus almost got completely flooded, and then he was the one who saved everybody. But it's funny because, again, I think that's very different. It's the contrast of this, because, like, I think the following scene after that is like, or maybe sort of the bridging scene between that is the conversations he has with his dad about everything that happens. And we don't really see that in this movie. And we were sort of talking about this before.
We talked about the wrong aspects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the best conversation that he got with his dad was just like
about when to be a boy in heat. Yeah, that's
exactly.
And so it's not to be. I don't know if it was intentional or what they were trying to pull off with the scene specifically. The kid's obviously coming into feelings, coming into liking people with the girl or his classmate.
Oh, that was creepy.
Okay. Yeah, it was. But he also did. You have that aspect of him, which you get it. Your kid doesn't, when you're growing up, you don't know how to act on those type of feelings. You just act goofy and stupid, and if you're lucky, you only get made fun of for like 2 of your first middle school years. But Then
Okay.
it got like
Middle school.
he's perfectly well. I'm just saying, like you know, yeah, I guess he was in middle school. I don't know if he was in middle school or grade school still. I couldn't quite tell. I don't remember if they said.
I don't think they did. They didn't.
But he had that, and for the most part, he's okay. But there's something also emotionally. It's weird that he can like a girl, but also be so emotionally detached from
Yeah.
everything. I didn't want to say he was a little Forrest Gump, but I mean, I don't know how. I'm trying not to be like I'm not really trying to offend anybody, but at the same time, there's something off with the kid, and I think I want to say he's emotionally detached because he's got kind of this detached curiosity about all these things, including anatomy, which I have a theory on where that's coming from. Honestly, I really do.
Okay.
Because I thought that was weird at first. A couple of times they showed it in the movie. He's got this fascination with the inner workings of living creatures.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
And he like even though he tore like including he tore off tore open Beth's mother. I think that's her name. Or it was the mother's name Beth. I forget. The girl's mother. He tore like he pretty much stripped her and ripped open her chest basically.
You know what's wild? I completely forgot about that.
But I honestly don't think he did it just to be morbid sick. I mean, he made it knew it was like a morbid curiosity, but I don't think he did it to be like spiteful, dark, and disgusting.
Yeah.
Because I think he had a fascination because he knew from the get-go he couldn't be cut, he couldn't be hurt. So I think he was fascination with something that couldn't happen to himself, even though he didn't know why.
I see what you're saying.
So it was a kind of a twisted fascination, yes, but
Yeah.
until the introduction of his ship, he could not be cut. By the way, the ship in the movie is his version of kryptonite. It's the only thing that can hurt him.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I
but
guess
like,
it made sense. It made sense.
but then you get the scene, the birds and the bees talk, for lack of a better term, with the father,
Ugh.
and I don't understand the mentality with the boy going now. Like right now, like so basically the father's telling him it's okay to be interested and look at girly pictures and and entertain himself with them.
Yeah,
But the kid's like, okay, can I do it now? And they're out there in the woods camping. The father has a gun scoped down, waiting for deer to put, and the boy's like, now? I mean, the father really had no room to talk. They were surrounded by wood. But I mean,
wow. You know what?
Thank you. I'll be
Class
here
act.
all night.
Class act.
But no, but really, like it doesn't. I don't understand the mentality of. I don't even know what angle they're trying to have the kid come from by saying that. I don't know. The kid was being sarcastic and smart, like knew he was making the dad awkward,
Mm-hmm.
or he was just like, was he intentionally playing stupid to not really get into the powers aspect that he learned? I don't know what he was trying. I don't know the director's angle with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the kid just really wanted to now. I don't know.
Well, I think the other thing too but I feel like this goes to your point of being like, because now that I think about it, if the perspective is that he just had a fascination with the human body because of obviously what it could do in comparison to what he knew he couldn't do, then I think it was more of a, if he already had an interest in the human body itself, then I think like then
I'm
then
not sure where you're going with this because I
well,
think those type of things he can do. If you know what I'm saying.
well
You know?
we
I'm
don't
just.
need, the last thing we need is Brightburn spreading his seed anywhere. I promise you that. That's not.
This is gonna be a Hancock moment. Gotcha.
Oh my god!
Got you.
Wow. That was, you know what? You're 2 for 2 right now. That was quality. That was
That
real.
wasn't even a pun. I thought you were literally starting to refer to the movie Hancock, where
Oh, you didn't mean to. You know what?
wow, I see where you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here all week.
I thought that's where you were going. I'm sorry.
No, I literally meant the movie Hancock. There's the scene with Will Smith in the beginning where he has to push her off right before he finishes. He puts a hole through the roof of his trailer.
Gotcha.
I thought that's where you were going.
That's not okay. Either.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have no script.
Yeah, we couldn't even script this if we tried.
It's true. Well, I could, but I would still go off my own script.
But no, but I'm just thinking that whole idea of being like really fascinated with the human anatomy in a sense is it does definitely tie into, I think, the narrative that's sort of being shown, because like again, I completely didn't even really connect that thought with the scene where he basically just gouges the girl's mom open, and it's like, to me it just seemed like it was like a thing that he just did.
No,
Um,
just remember, it ties back to, I think, pictures that the dad found,
yeah,
the drawings that the mom and dad found,
yeah,
and as well as what he did with the chickens.
and I was gonna say that's the other thing too.
That's
That
right. He
yeah,
literally choked some chickens.
he's okay. Hold on, no. Okay, I'll give you that one. But technically, what happens is the
You don't know
chicken.
what he did before he broke the leg.
Oh my god,
That chicken did not cross any roads that night.
that's terrible. But
I
sorry, I was
think
gonna
that's terrible. Let me tell you about my little brother.
say,
All right, I was an inside joke, guys. I do have actually three younger brothers, but I'm not referring to any of them. Anyway,
all right, hold on. I gotta breathe for a second. Okay, all right.
only for a second. He's gonna hold his breath again. Let's watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, but but I guess even to the point of being like, even the way that he decided to kill the chickens, it's not like he just snapped their necks and just kept it moving. Like he ripped these chickens open. So it's so I think that whole theme sort of goes throughout, which I don't think I really realized, in comparison to that being sort of the connection with his just general fascination um how how the body works. I guess the other point to me, or the other point that I'm trying to think of too, was when his parents found those pictures under his bed. Was this before or after he found out about his powers?
True.
Because I'm wondering. I mean, like, because I think, but this goes on to the other point that we were sort of talking about, when we were at work, is if it happened before he knew about his powers, can we make the argument that like a part of him was sort of already leaning towards being evil, or are we sort of making the argument that like the neglect and everything else and how everything was handled really sort of pushes him in that direction?
Okay, so we're getting the philosophical aspect of, is he evil or just misguided or
Yeah.
just misunderstood? Yeah. Okay. So I think there's a darkness to his race in general. Having said that, I do believe individuality plays a part, and I don't think he's inherently evil. I think he started off well and decent, but where Clark accepted his origins, accepted the beliefs of his parents, where they nurtured him to be who he was, to an extent. Obviously, they told him to hide it
Yeah.
for his own protection, but not to be ashamed of it, whatever. And they encouraged him to be Superman. But in this, it's kind of like he had to find out the hard way and they hit it and they didn't talk about it. It was kind of like, okay, but brush it under the rug.
Yeah.
Sweep it under the rug. And I feel like his environment played a part to somewhat pushing him in the direction that his race wanted him to go. The reason I say that is because there is clearly a subconscious, if not a genetic, right down to the genetic core programming that his race has
Agreed.
has developed or put upon the younglings in their race. I don't know how you don't know how their race works, but the ship obviously brings something or awakens something in him, brainwashes and possesses him to the point where he's literally hovering, shaking, repeating the alien language in his sleep, starting to be able to translate it within his own mind. There's a connection, an inherent connection there that runs deeper than the philosophical good versus evil. There's programming, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it. So that can't be that just cannot be dismissed completely. Now,
and that's fair. That's fair.
he did become some of it. When the mother first found him in the barn, the mother and was worried about, like, the mother was able to get through to him at times, dealing with it. But at the same time, the boy was starting to realize, I have powers and I can make people either do what I want or I can make them pay. It's kind of like the ultimate temper tantrum. He had a temper tantrum and knew he could follow through on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably that might be the best way to put it. Because the truth is like that's one of the easiest ways to be able to manipulate somebody is once you know the effect that it has on someone, you try it once and you may not do it on accident, and then when you see the effect that it has, it's like, okay, well, I can actually get my way. Let me try it again and again and again, and then after that, then it becomes a thing of just like, then you're willfully choosing to engage in this type of behavior. And so I think to that degree, I'm like, I definitely lean more towards your philosophy of being like the environment that he was around definitely didn't yield the best outcome to him. However, and this might just be speculation, I do feel like even if they had told him in the best way that they could, because I do think that their whole, I think the parents do have a big part to play in it, because they definitely don't seem like the Kents that were like, oh well, you have to use this to protect the world and be kind to other people. They were more concerned, if anything, about having a baby, and that was really it. They weren't really expecting anything beyond that, at least from what I could tell.
Yeah, this has to be a Kansas thing where babies can literally drop from the sky, and nobody's questioning it, and they're all just like, "Hey, shoot, I'm happy." Like, what is wrong with you?
Wait, actually, you know what? Follow up to that. The fact that the mom, at a certain point, she had a newspaper about when the meteor happened in Brightburn, and it's just like, so they had a whole newspaper article put out about it, but nobody else decided to investigate it. Like,
It was the same with Superman. Like, I don't get it. It's something with Kansas. People accept babies dropping from the sky, and it's okay. Because Brightburn is, so for those who don't know, Brightburn is actually named after the city in Kansas in this movie.
yeah,
And I'm making the comparison because Smallville is in Kansas, where Clark was from. So it's a Kansas thing.
it really is. I mean, it's a little weird. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of creepy.
It's borderline Arkansas. It really is. I'm sorry. It's kind of like you think your population is just so spread out, no one's going to notice or care. They need to populate the state somehow. We lost too many to the Twisters in Oz. We'll take any we can get.
I mean, yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Kansas, man. It's weird. It's a weird place, and it's even weirder that like that 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 of all routes to go, that like the because I'm almost thinking about it in terms of like the the weird contrast of like, you look at somebody like um you look at someone like a Superman who's built in, or who was born into a small, very rural area, Smallville, and then you look at somebody like Batman who was born into Gotham, and Batman. I mean, Batman obviously ends up being a hero, and I think in many ways people sort of look at him as being like slightly anti-hero-ish in his methods, but like you definitely see that like even with Batman, his circumstances definitely yielded to the type of hero that he became. Whereas with this one, it's just like his environment had very little to do with it. I mean, it's like
Did
it's
it? Because again, I disagree. But I'll let you continue, but I'll disagree. I'm sorry.
but I don't know, because I feel like I do think that like maybe I guess you could make the argument that as small and homey um as Brightburn is, there was maybe some underlying um attitudes in the way that people like really were around others, that I guess you could maybe hint towards it, but I just think about it in terms of like that's, again, Smallville is very clearly like a like a nice place to be brought up in. Gotham is clearly not, but then Brightburn doesn't really seem like that. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's just like it almost, yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's a weird.
So it's an interesting way to look at it. So here's how I would see it. Smallville is an ideal of what old-fashioned country good folk are. It is an ideal. It is not a realistic interpretation of what we I guess generally see as society. Not that people can't be like that. Not that there aren't people like that, but it's like everybody got along. Everything was perfect. Smallville in the comic, it was the ideal. Okay,
Yeah.
so of course Superman grew up to be the ideal. You could argue then. I mean, you can make an argument then that even though it was an ideal situation, that bred the ideal hero. Whereas
Mhm.
Brightburn is a very much more realistic, honestly, very realistic representation of what it's like to grow up. Yes, it's in a country. Yes, it's close, and it's close knit, whatever. But all of those things reflected. Everybody knew who everybody was. Instead of having to go to a bar, the town was small enough that everybody still knew your name. But
True.
uh, yes, I made a Cheers reference.
I heard it.
You just did what you just
I
did
didn't
what?
acknowledge it.
um, but the way the kids kind of treated him was realistic. From his reciting of the differences between hornets and or bees and wasps, whatever,
Mm.
was from the bullying, from, I mean, everything was realistic, but so it wasn't the ideal situation. So the way everybody treated him made him feel bullied, made him feel inferior, hurt his feelings, made him feel put off, whatever. That bred the resentment, the anger, the frustration. So I'd still argue he was a product of his environment, especially when you get to later. later things. Not that he was always right. Some things can't be explained away. Some things were just his weird curiosity. It had nothing to do with the environment. It was just his curiosity. But
Yeah.
I mean, his own father got so afraid of him that he tried to shoot him with a hunting rifle in the back of the head. Like, of course, the kid's going to be like, oh hell no. Like,
no, I agree. At that point, his dad was dead. His dad, like there's no way to come back from that. I don't care how you try and justify that.
there isn't. And like, the mother was the only one you were kind of, at that point, you were sympathetic towards because she tried to put him down. But that was done in a sympathetic way. The dad just did it out of a scared wussy way. Like, I didn't like that. Well, I mean, I understood it, but I'm just saying, like, that wasn't cool. So
Yeah.
I would argue almost everything that happened, yes, it was extreme. I mean, the girl he likes calling him a creep, didn't want him there, was scared of him, embarrassed him, showed no trust, and all he wanted to do was like the girl. Yeah, he stood behind her curtain, but I mean, what kid doesn't do that in the country at night? You know, I'm just saying. It's Kansas. It's Kansas. You don't have much to do. You can't play kick the can because it's your means of communicating. You know, I'm just saying. you could. I mean, you can play stickball, but all the fields are covered in amber waves of green. I'm just saying the kid has to do something. The kid has to stand behind a girl's curtain.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it, Chief.
Okay, it's not. It's really not. Nobody take me serious. But I'm just saying. The kid was hurt by this girl who had plenty of reasons, obviously, to be afraid of him. Yeah, she was legit.
Yeah,
okay, seriously speaking, she was legit. Not seriously speaking, I think she was totally out of line. She should have just said, I like you too. That's all she had to say. And he would have been like, cool beans, I'll go home and tell the world. Like, he would have been happy. You could have averted the whole natural disaster, everything that followed. You just liked the boy. Selfish.
See, I wouldn't even say she had to like the boy. I'm just thinking like the fact that she decided to call him a freak was not. It just wasn't like. I mean, I don't even now.
She didn't call him a freak. She said he was creepy and he was a perv.
Oh, sorry.
Which was worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's worse. But to me, it was just like I think if you already see that he's an awkward kid, that's not gonna go over well.
No, but she had a legitimate reason for being upset. Yes, the boy in the movie, everybody, he does sneak into her room. Yeah, he moves at super speed. He constantly keeps opening her laptop to play music. He puts flowers on her laptop, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
Or no, he hands her the flower later after he breaks her hand.
Okay.
Sorry, but he's trying to be sweet and just look at her, and he's just being a creep about it because obviously you don't go into the girl's room. But he's moving at super speed so she doesn't see him, and then just stands behind these thin veil of what things you call curtains. And you're like, why, dude? What was the point of the super speed? But she catches him, and she freaks out, and she talks to the school, and you get why she's freaked out, and then when it comes to the game of trust, and nobody else but the principal even knows what happened.
That's a very good point.
Actually, the principal doesn't even know because she's saying that before he breaks her hand. I'm sorry, so nobody knows other than the girl's mother. Sorry, then
I was gonna say, and that's more a secondary source. So she just hears it from the girl. She doesn't necessarily know.
That's true. The mother didn't even see him. That's right. The mother said, "Are you sure? What are you talking about? There's nobody here." You're right, which is really weird. But the girl's freaking out because she's like, "I know what I saw." She calls him out on it, basically in the middle of gym class. They do the whole game of trust where you're supposed to fall backwards and somebody catches you, and she refused to catch him, and he's like, "Oh hell no."
Pretty much. Like, that's exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, you didn't catch me, but you're going to catch something now. And so the gym teacher forces her to offer a hand to pick him up, and he just grabs it and crushes her hand. I mean, I don't know what to say. She had it coming. She had it coming.
We might have to cut that out.
No, she had it coming. She totally ruined his faith in humanity. It's her fault. If she had just been like, yeah, a little pushy, just back off. We'll have a first date first, and we'll see how it goes. It might have been all right. But no, she's like, you freaky perv. Like, I mean, give the boy a chance. You might like it.
Him? Might like him, maybe.
No, I said like it.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just trying to make sure we got the right thing there.
Uh, I mean, okay, I'm making jokes in between like the serious parts, but
Yeah, no, I got you.
so, but yeah, so I mean, if it the environment obviously had some play. He's constantly rebelling. This movie, let me tell you.
Man.
But
There's a
yeah,
lot
so
going
I
on.
mean, the girl, everybody. I'm
I
I'm
will say
kind of
also.
surprised. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I will say also. I think the second it was like they saw something slightly off about him, like the mood change from everyone else did was very quick. Like I think in those and this is I think this goes more to your point of being like, in those times of being like, okay, well, maybe he's being a little creepy, maybe he's overstepping his bounds, but like but I will say that like it could have been handled by almost everybody a lot more, like in a lot more of a positive manner. Um, so I think in that regard, I think you can definitely see that like that he that I think as a result to that he starts to sort of more and more so, like you were saying, the whole idea of the tantrum, he does definitely start to like abuse his power when he sees that like this is the way he's gonna get treated, and he's just like, well, if I have the power to be able to take what I want, then I'm just gonna do it.
That's right. And he had his chocolate chip cookie at the end of the movie. This whole freaking movie was about that chocolate chip cookie. Don't tell me it wasn't, because that was like almost the only time you really saw that kid content. Everybody was dead. He had his cookie. Nobody was bothering him. And he was nibbling on that cookie like, this is the best damn cookie I've ever had. That had to be a Keebler cookie, I'm telling you.
Keebler cookie.
I'm just saying, that kid was like, he didn't have the big grin, but you can tell he was content. That was arguably the most content you had ever seen the kid in the entire movie. Because like he was just swinging he got his swinging his legs, sitting at the back of the ambulance. Nobody was bugging him. Nobody was harassing him. He just had the damn cookie. People, just give the kid a cookie.
Well, I think at that point too, he probably stopped hearing the voices too.
Oh, did he? Because now remember the end scenes. He was destroying buildings.
Okay, but we can argue. But can we argue that? Can we argue that it was the? Can we say that it was the voices though, or at this point he just enjoyed doing it? Because I do
I,
feel like there was a certain element to it where he was just like, "This
I
guy
don't think.
great."
No, I don't think he ever really enjoyed it. I just don't think it bothered him. Because almost none of them, he didn't do anything other than the chickens. He didn't do anything violent that wasn't provoked in some way that I can recall.
I mean, hmm.
What he may have done with the body afterwards, like with the mother, Beth's mother, or excuse me, the mother Beth of the girl, sorry, the
Yeah.
girl's mother. Uh, that was the only one he may have done something afterward to kind of
I
examine
will.
the biological aspect. But I didn't. Nowhere did he ever, up until the end, did he ever kill for fun? In my opinion, the only one that you can't. Actually, no, I can argue that too. Yeah, see, damn, I'm good. I can argue myself. But, yeah, there's nothing. I don't think he did anything out of joy. Now, did he? Because I don't think it, like, even with the cop, the female cop who went into the house and he kind of like put through the ringer before he finally put her down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was enjoyment. That was part of that, like his revenge on being stopped and all this happening. I believe half of it was the psychological aspect. He knew he was scaring the freaking crap out of them, and he knew he was making them suffer, making them torture. I don't think it had to do with him taking pleasure more than the psychological and torture aspect of it was part of his revenge.
But couldn't you make an argument that that's just as bad though? The fact that he was probably taking some sort of um he was probably taking some sort of enjoyment out of being able to torture, which I mean to me it's not a far cry from being like, oh no, I think you know what, I can make one argument as to the one time when he sort of did something out of pure enjoyment. Well, no, you did say the chickens, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if he enjoyed that or if that was just more of his biological curiosity. Because you never saw him smiling; he was just staring at him.
True, but like, I
Look,
don't
that kid wasn't happy until he had the damn cookie. I'm telling you.
know.
Telling you.
He
That
does a
cookie made the
fantastic.
difference.
You know what is weird? He was never offered a cookie before then.
No, but he did have his birthday party, and even then he was pissy.
Yeah,
Because
he didn't want to be there because it was for kids.
no, he was okay until he got the gun and was told he couldn't have it.
So he just wanted his guns and his cookies.
Yeah, Blake, damn, Kansas, what you doing to your kids?
They're not giving him guns and cookies, man.
That sounds like an album. That sounds like a really bad rap album. Guns and Cookies. I'd listen to
Cookies.
it.
I feel like that'd be a rap album by the Wiggles.
I would totally buy it.
So would I.
I would buy that. Guns and Cookies. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh my gosh. Brightburn, what have you done to the society?
Uh, oh man.
So, the first time where he starts thinking long term, like, I should say the first time. Even the airplane, he didn't even do for fun because he took them. He took them out because for fear of actually being seen flying.
Yeah. I mean
Which,
that I can for sure.
so if you think about it, that is also kind of a reverse play on Superman because I believe Superman, like one of the things Superman is known for, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong on my history because it's been so long with Superman, and I know his introduction to Metropolis has been revised so many times. But a play on catching an airplane or stopping an airplane from crashing. So this is reverse on he's causing it to be the crash. Like, and that was introducing himself to the greater world, so to speak. Like he introduced himself outside the town, outside family. Like this is the first time it extended beyond or past really the immediate circle.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean that's I. Yeah, so the town in itself wasn't necessarily affected until, or no one outside of the town was necessarily affected until that point. But I do think that the post credits are so vital to that too because after that it's like he's gotten rid of all of those people who he's felt like are have sort of slighted him. So it's not like he just decides to just live his life. He literally goes around destroying things.
I feel like if I do like another reason I believe he's a product of environment is because if they had taken the Superman approach and had told him about where he comes from, had encouraged him about his powers, taught him about right or wrong with them, and actually talked about it, when the moments came where the programming was kicking in or the ship was trying to do what its thing, they could have either helped guide him through it, helped him fight it, helped him teach him like the ship doesn't have to control him, whatever the case may be. They would have worked with him. Now maybe the ship would have proven too strong and he would have had no choice. You didn't really see him resist the ship. He kind of just didn't understand it until the end. But there was no trying. Like, nobody wanted to work with the poor kid and be like, look, we know you're special, but this is what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, he's got powers. I'm scared. Like, you fail.
Again, and I guess this is why it's very easy to put most of the blame on the parents, because they're really the only ones who knew about him having powers like that. Like, the girl couldn't have known. Her mom couldn't have known. His aunt and uncle wouldn't have known.
Which makes no sense. They're so close to him. They know she didn't give birth to the kid. Yes, they came up with the adoption thing, but that even seems weird. Like, neither one of them said, yo, why didn't you tell us you were thinking about adopting? Why didn't you tell us that you were going to go do this now? Like, you just came home with a kid. Like, how did that not create some kind of animosity in the family?
I think that's I mean, I think that's a valid point too, and I think two things is maybe they sort of just made the assumption of being like, oh well, they're so close that they were going to be happy for them regardless, and then I think the second thing too is like, I think that in itself was sort of an aside to the main fact that this kid's just like evil. He's an evil kid. Or at least the narrative that they're trying to play is that he's an evil kid. So I think with that, I do agree though. They definitely should have said something, because that is a little weird for like them to be trying, and I think that's one of those things that you would bring up, if you guys are that close that you're trying, and then all of a sudden you just end up with a baby.
Right. The other reason now, so I think we should talk on like all the reasons why it's kind of hinted or suggested at that the race in general that I believe is evil.
Okay.
Is not only is like the obvious one is the subliminal, or the not subliminal, but the message that it keeps brainwashing or repeating in the boy's head in its native language, that boy eventually translate to take the world.
Yeah.
But even before that, you get to see the ship that the baby comes in. This is not the baby carriage, nice, sweet, comfy, cozy rocket. Superman came in. This is a Matrix. This is like the Matrix pods that you've seen in the Matrix, with a rocket fuel attached at the end. Like, this kid's tubed up. Like, and these are industrial tubes. These are not rubber hoses. This is like copper plumbing. I don't know what the hell they were doing to this kid.
Plumbing?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, these were like some tubes, man. Like, this was plumbing pipes. These were not just little rubber tubes connected to an IV. Like, they were doing some serious messed up shit to this kid in this thing. They were implanting the code as he traveled. I don't know what else there is to say. They did something to this poor kid.
That is true.
Yeah, you saw the insides of the ship. It was evil. There was nothing comfort about the ship. I'm not, like, I don't even know. It was free. That was honestly, the ship is the creepiest part of the movie, because you just have to imagine, how the heck did a baby come in this thing? Like, how did it literally travel however the distance was? That there was no comfort involved. This was, I'm plugging in a galaxy worth of information into you now.
Yeah, pretty much.
The other thing is well, I mean, those are the two biggest things, honestly. There's nothing in the movie, like we said, that suggests that he is the only one from this planet. There was nothing to suggest that the planet was doomed. They don't even talk about or theorize why he was sent there, where he came from, nothing. And I understand the parents would know. That's probably more realistic, to be fair, than like Superman. Like, we don't know why you're here, but, we kept this, and you have to be here for – there was none of that bullcrap. It's like, This kid came from outer space where you're not going to tell him, I am already freaked out, but I want a baby, so we have our, there we go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically what it was. But, like, and if he's not the only one, that means he may be the only one on Earth, but even that's hard to believe unless these aliens were like seriously already scouting the planets that these kids were shot to and knew Earth had nothing to resist.
That's what it seems like, because I really do feel like the same thing with Superman, just being like, yeah, he just gets dropped off in the middle of Kansas, and they're like, he'll be fine. Like, what do you mean?
Well,
What do you mean?
to be fair, I mean, to be fair, the ships weren't aiming for a particular state. It just seems Kansas has a magnet. I don't know. Maybe the tornadoes that didn't quite bring anybody to suck the aliens down. But
I'm also wondering because, like, and this is just a random side note, like, we were sort of talking about the idea of being like of obviously the the red sun on Krypton um
is he
doesn't
solar
give
powered?
doesn't give him power. Yeah, I'm wondering what was it that powered Brightburn? Like, was it the same concept? Were they sort of trying to follow the same trend?
I don't know. And I actually found it weird that the mother, like the girl's mom, was actually ripped open at the ship because it seemed to be only around the ship. He had no powers. Like immediately around the ship. He
Yeah.
can hover above or whatever, but once he was like literally face to face with the ship, he seemed to have no powers. He fell, he couldn't fly, he cut himself on the ship, which we do know the ship actually is the only thing that can cut him. But it was like, so I was kind of surprised, like, what did he use to cut her open? That's even more creepy and disturbing to think about if he has no powers around that ship. And if it is true he has no powers around that ship, then the whole ship is a kryptonite. It has nothing to do with whether it can cut him or not. Like, something about that ship depowers him, and he could have been hurt by anything around that ship.
It's very true.
But yeah, I'm curious to know if it's solar powered or not as well. And then let's talk about his costume. What the flip, dude?
Oh God.
Like, it's weird because he's having these images of it, and I don't remember if he came up with that costume before or after he even found out he wasn't human. Because he was doodling those in his notebook.
I think it was immediately after he found out about his powers, because when he threw the lawnmower, then no, wait, it was either after that or it was after he broke the girl's hand, because I remember him being outside and his mom was getting him, and then he's like, and then he's and then that was when he was drawing the his
That was
actual his actual costume.
Was it the costume? I thought that was just his initials. He kept redoing his initials over and over and again with the backwards and forwards B on the same line. That's what the police officer used to piece him together at all the
Yeah.
scenes.
That's a good question, actually.
I did. I could be wrong because I only watched the movie once. I thought the first time I saw the costume, and it probably was after then he found out he was an alien, because I thought it was in with the rest of the papers that the mother finds under the bed. That prompts somehow a sex talk. I still don't get it. Your son's dreaming of wearing a mask. Talk to him about masturbating. What?
the
I'm pretty sure the whole sex and mask thing is when he's way older, hon. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, that was an odd thing to, like, really piece together there.
It's true. I agree there.
But,
Yeah,
so,
it's a.
so having said all that, the movie is left open easily for a sequel.
Yeah.
Because it just ends basically with anybody who knows about him dead, eating while he eats a cookie. We are not letting go of this damn cookie. I'm not, because that cookie is symbolic in so many ways. That cookie is obviously a representation of all that is joyful and bliss in this world for him.
Yeah. I was gonna say the cookie represents happiness at the end of the day.
I mean, it works for me. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, he's going to meet like this arch villain, and the villain's just going to bring him cookies, and that's it.
And that's it. He's
It's done. It's done. That's the end of the movie.
He's got a weakness for cookies.
It's true. It's true. Kids going to be like, I own this planet. All right, but we have one thing to offer you first. We have here a chunky Chips Ahoy. I'll be down.
Okay, you know what? I guess sort of as a skipping point, the argument that we had about him versus Superman, if it was based purely off weaknesses, he'd get ended very quickly.
He's still, but it's not the worst weakness though. It's not the worst weakness that I've seen the superhero have, and a good one at that. A good hero, not some B-string superhero. There are some superheroes who, in the '90s, until they've retconned things, who had the most hilariously dumb weaknesses ever. And I remember reading a Wizard magazine back when that was popular that talked about the things you could do based on it. But no, that's actually the next place I wanted to go. Is we talked about now what would happen if there were crossovers done with Brightburn, because it really needs to happen. I would love to see a sequel, but the way it goes now, it's kind of like The Boys on Amazon Prime. That show, it's like I know there's other heroes in that world, but right now, okay, so let's compare it more like it's Superboy Prime back on his Earth. So in the DC, for those who don't know, Superboy Prime came from an Earth where it's supposed to represent our world. He was the only superpowered being in a world that was supposed to be our world. DC Comics literally published comic books in his world.
Yeah.
So this is like the equivalent of so in that sense, what stops him? Like, he's got no match, he's got no rival. He's got nothing that's going to ever bring him down. So, like, where do you go from there? Where do you go from an unstoppable force who just keeps going? Like, eventually he's just done. Unless you really want the next movie to be about, okay, here's the rest of the race and let's destroy Earth, which I'm okay with.
He's like, for clarification, I
have no problem with this. I have no problem with this. But it crossover, and actually, apparently, the creator of Brightburn has talked about it, and I think I found a poster. He did it as kind of he would love to see it happen, but obviously wouldn't. It was a crossover between The Boys, I think it was, okay, and the Injustice version of Superman.
So
that was interesting. But I did see another video where a person was talking about what would happen if the kid from Brightburn did meet Superman after the events of the Brightburn movie. And I'm like, and she talked about how Superman would take him under his wing and talk to him and try to guide him and teach him what he did was wrong, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think it would be that, it's not going to be that sweet.
No.
Now, if it comes down to a fight, this kid has no chance. Superman's not only got the experience, but Superman is on a whole different power level because he really doesn't have a level. Every time they try to establish a limit, he blows that limit away. He's literally got no limits. Even though he's not the strongest, they keep trying to say he's not the strongest force. There's things stronger than him, but how can you be stronger than to limitless? It's a being who is literally lifted infinite. He is lifted infinity.
He found infinity at the the ceiling and just lifted it.
No, there was a book. So it was a Justice League storyline where apparently they found the book of infinite pages. It was a magical item, and it took him and Shazam lifted it. It took both of them. But the thing is, what's half of infinite?
What's
It's
half of infinite?
yeah. What's half of infinite? It's still infinity. It's still infinite.
Well, it's a
So,
sideways 4.
huh?
It's a sideways 4.
No, I didn't mean what's the symbol, you you goober.
Oh,
I bet
oh,
what is half of I bet literally what is half of infinity? It's infinity.
yeah.
You divide so Superman lifted infinity. You have this is a man who literally held the black hole in his hands. It is a man who has helped lift the specter, who represents basically everything of God. Like he represents eternity. This is a man who has done feats that cannot be matched. He was a herald of Galactus for a while, and was able to fight his brainwashing from it. This is a man that sneezed and blew away a solar system. Like, what is Brightburn gonna do?
That's just not even fair. Why would you do something like that? Like, what's the point?
And this is
You
post
sneeze and
crisis.
blow away a solar system?
Well, he didn't mean to sneeze it away. He sneezed.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. Can you control your sneezes? Sooner or later, you're sneezing. Let's just be thankful it wasn't let's be thankful it was a sneeze and he didn't hold it in and it came out the other way.
Oh, if he farted, bro.
And he farted. If he
Bro,
farted away a solar system, that would really stink.
nah, he's farted away the planet, man. He's not gonna have any powers anymore because he's gonna fart away the sun.
Yeah, but I think you missed the pun, or you just totally did not want to acknowledge it.
Wait, no, I didn't hear it.
I said if he farts away a solar system, that's really going to stink. Oh, it was worth repeating. I don't care.
That was good. That was a good one. I give you that. I give you that.
But I mean, yeah. So I think it's really in terms of it would be an interesting discussion to see them have, because that's ultimately what's going to come down to is a talking back and forth. Because Brightburn, I'm sure, will try to attack. Superman's gonna be like, "Nah, son, you can't do this." And Brightburn's gonna be, "Yes, I can. I'm superior." And he's gonna try to punch Superman, and he's either gonna break his hand, or Superman's just gonna catch it in his hand and be like, "No, I said you can't. Have a seat." And Brightburn's gonna be like, "Holy crap, he stood up to me and totally beat me. Okay, I'm not superior anymore."
I don't know. I feel like the only other point that I had made before was the idea of like I do think the advantage with Brightburn is like the that like that inhibition to just do whatever, because obviously Superman was raised to know that like you don't shed innocent blood, but like if you don't have that thought process in your head and you just do it, to me that makes you a bit like you've got an edge. I'm not saying that he's gonna win, but I'm just saying that like that makes you
But that's more arguable against somebody with a more of equal powers. I don't think he's on equal par with Superman as far as any of his powers. Heat vision, I think Superman's is probably stronger. Super breath, Superman's going to be stronger. Super speed, Superman's going to be faster. When it comes to just pure strength, Superman, like Brightburn's not going to get the chance to do any of that. You can't. Okay, it's great that Brightburn's willing to kill, but how is he going to kill Superman when he's just as invulnerable and stronger?
Sure, but I mean, I guess I feel like okay, I guess that's another, and I wouldn't even necessarily say like more or just as powerful. I think like maybe the same skill set does play a big factor into it, because I'm more thinking like you think about the idea of Batman versus Superman. Like Batman could have killed Superman.
I mean, let's be fair though. Batman can destroy the multiverse. Oh wait, I think it was called the Batman Who Laughs. Never mind. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure Batman gets a free pass because he's Batman on everything.
But I think like but again, I feel like I mean, obviously being like insanely rich and having the resources helps, but that 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 control of like not being as controlled with how you're using your power, because I do think that again, we talked about the whole idea of Batman being a like by any means necessary type person. He's just not more so willing to go over that line when it comes to killing someone. But he has he has played with that line with Superman. Because I think he sees Superman as such a threat that like if he were to ever turn, he would need to do it.
Oh well, yes, and that's why and that is technically why Superman gave Batman Lex Luthor's kryptonite ring, because he told him flat out, if I ever got out of control, you were to put me down, basically.
Yeah.
And in Man of Steel, or excuse me, not Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Batman's plan was to kill him until, why did you say that name? And then he lost for that fraction of a moment. The universe stood still and cried because Batman lost credibility when that happened.
Oh my god. He
But
lost credibility because him and Superman had the same name as their
to be
mom.
fair, I never even realized that. I never thought about it until that movie. It never dawned on me. Okay, but we're off track. But you're right. I do think in a lot of fights, being willing to kill can be an advantage.
Yeah.
I just don't think that matters when it comes to him versus Superman, because he's not going to be able to kill Superman. You can be willing to do it all you want, but you've got no way to do it.
I see your point. I see your point.
Now, that's when we got into Brightburn versus Superboy, as in Connor Kent Connell Superboy, not Jonathan, not the latest version of Superboy, not the new 52 Superboy, not Superboy Prime, but the Connor Kent clone Superboy.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very fair power level play. I still personally think Superboy Connor is going to win. But you seem pretty convinced it's going to be Brightburn.
Yeah, man. I do think that factor plays a lot for me. Like it's to me, like, I guess going back to the whole idea of Batman, like that's why I felt like him and the Joker had such an interesting relationship of being like if the Joker had his chance, he'd kill him. But Batman didn't ever want to go over that line, and the truth is that's
actually, according to what was hinted at or supposed to have, kind of implied in the Killing Joke, Batman. Yeah. It is theorized, or supposedly the Batman does kill Joker at the end.
Well, okay, that notwithstanding,
and that is how the Batman Who Laughs came about, because in that universe he does kill Joker. And it turns him into what he becomes, because Joker had a twisted version of the Joker toxin or whatever. But no, Batman, there are versions of the Batman who has killed.
But again, I think that, but to me, I feel like he's more willing to do it. Like, even if he doesn't necessarily do it, I do think that Batman is more willing to do it. Like, he tiptoes that line a lot. And I don't necessarily blame him, because, I mean, he grew up in Gotham. Like, he grew up in Gotham, the place where he saw his parents get killed at such a young age. And then, I mean, the villains he had to deal with were just...
I mean, it depends what Superman we're talking about, too. If I recall, Man of Steel Superman killed Zod.
True. He did. And we never stopped hearing about it since.
Well, Zod stopped hearing. Oh! Oh, I said that at neck-breaking speed. Anyway,
that was...
Oh, man. And technically, I I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure the mainstream Superman killed because, and there's a reason for the vow that he doesn't kill anymore. Is that there were 3 Kryptonians from an alternate world that invaded, and the only way he had to stop them was to expose them to their version of kryptonite. And he felt so horrible, and it almost broke him and almost made him bad that he had to make the vow to never kill again. At least that was mentioned when they did the first Superman Aliens crossover.
Okay. Like that I can that I can understand. Like and again, I think like that's obviously
And,
the thing that makes them the heroes
and
they are.
he technically killed Doomsday.
Are we gonna count that?
I mean, this was a man who. This was a. I shouldn't say man. This was a creature or being that, unless he was killed, was not gonna. And even if he is, he comes back. But he didn't know that at the time. But that was not gonna stop unless Superman put him down.
And again, though, I'm more just looking at it in terms of like, are we conceding Doomsday as a human being?
But it's human, no. But was he living? Yes.
Okay, but
And
I mean,
it
I'm sure
technically
Superman ran through a bunny once or twice. Let's be honest.
ran through a bunny.
Yeah, come
I
on.
could see flying through a bug or hitting a duck or a goose in the way, but
Okay,
how does
fine.
he run through the bunny? He flies further. That has to be intentional,
All right, fine,
which
fine.
I mean would be
You
funny.
flew
But
through a duck or a goose. That's
oh my god! Well, that is just horrible. That's hilarious. I could just see that, just whoosh, honk, honk, just the geese, just like what the heck.
but like it's like that scene from The Boys.
I never watched The Boys. I just know.
Oh man, like the oh okay
I
yes,
need to see it. I know.
it's a oh
But isn't that is actually a DC property, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
I thought it was or it was at least DC affiliated, but I thought it might be.
I'm pretty sure it is, but that's a whole different thing. I mean, what we yeah. So, but all right. So you're gonna give the fact that Brightburn is willing to kill the winning, that gives him the winning edge over Superboy,
I
Connor.
think it's a big advantage.
Now, when I say, keep in mind when I'm talking Superboy Connor Kent, I'm talking about the one just prior to this whole switch over to the New 52 that had matured enough that not only did he have all his powers from when he was introduced, but he also had developed his Kryptonian powers.
That's fair.
So, I mean, Brightburn can use heat vision, and we've seen it happen a dozen times over in the comics. It could be matched with another person's heat vision. And isn't going to be an instant kill on Superboy because I'm pretty sure he'll take the hit. Not saying it won't hurt somewhat, but he can take the hit.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, super strength. I don't know. I want to say Superboy is probably stronger. Now he's not Superman strong, but I want to say he's probably stronger because not only does he have whatever the tactical telekinesis gave him,
Mm.
but he's got the increased Kryptonian aspect of him coming in, and I'm sure that's making him even stronger. He's got the vulnerability. He's got Superman's powers to a lesser degree, and he's got the tactical telekinesis that he could use to his advantage as well, like where Brightburn wouldn't even be able to move, or at least have a very, very hard time moving.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see your point. I see what you're saying.
So, I mean, I'm just saying there's some interesting. See, the thing that made it that really makes me think is because when he learned that trick with the tactical telekinesis to extend his field and place it on others and do things, it left him completely mortal and invulnerable. Or excuse me, not invulnerable. It left him completely vulnerable. But now that his Kryptonian aspects and he's got the natural invulnerability, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Ah, okay.
So now he can play that trick with no weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm like, and plus Superboy's got way more experience not only handling superpowered beings in general, but on such a grand scale that Brightburn's going to be like so overwhelmed. Like, I don't know what to do. He has no experience fighting someone of an equal of fighting anybody, let alone someone on an equal footing. He won't. I don't think he would even know what to do if someone could actually hit him back and hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a I think that is a fair point. Um, I guess the two things for me is like one, how is understanding two things for me. One, how far into his programming is what was put inside of him, like before he was sent off of his planet, and two, did we get to fully see his capacity of his power?
Oh no, I'm sure Brightburn will get stronger as he goes. Don't get me wrong. I do think his powers will grow as he does, and when he becomes a full adult, for all we know, he could easily become on par with Superman. But for now, like it's funny because like that matchup with Superman everywhere. She was talking like would they fight? I could see Superman talking to the kid and trying to get him to listen to reason or at least like, hey, this is wrong. You need to. But at the same time, I don't think Superman's just going to let him go and like, here, I'll take you under my wing and I'll teach you. Superman's going to be like, look,
I've
when
seen
the
what you've
time
done.
is right, but I've seen what you've done and you have got to answer for it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't even know what would be done in that situation. Like, I don't see Superman wanting to train him, but I don't see Superman. Obviously, Superman's not going to hurt him if the kid's willing to surrender, so to speak, for lack of a better term. But what do you do with the kid? How do you lock? How do you make him pay a penance that nobody can really put on him?
that's
The only way is to bring him to Superman's universe, where there are beings like the Guardians of the Universe and all that who deal with imprisoning or punishing more superpowered beings. Like Superman's not going to go to the extreme of banishing to the Phantom Zone.
no.
But no player, no what, no nowhere on Brightburn's Earth are they prepared to handle a being like that. But on the flip side, I don't see Superman returning like would return to his world soon because there's now the greater threat. Superman, I mean, I can't see him looking at this kid like even if he gets the kid underfoot. I can't see Superman going, not one, helping the kid understand where he comes from and learning more, blah, 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 but then not going, holy crap, there's this race of beings out there. They know about this kid's Earth. They're probably going to gun for it after one of their agents doesn't report in, but no, it's a lie, whatever. I mean, there's a greater threat. Somebody's got to stand there now and fight. I don't know. I just think this opens the world to not just a one-shot crossover, but like the, there's just a huge potential for like merging of worlds or crossing. I don't know.
And I was gonna say this would be quite the complicated crossover for sure. Like it wouldn't just be it wouldn't just be that like there's one way to go about like okay well they just so happen to because again remember like Superman stays in like he stays in Kansas. So the odds of him running into Brightburn is like it's very high. Like I'd be surprised if they didn't run into each other while simultaneously running through the same bunny. I wouldn't be surprised.
that poor rabbit.
All I'm saying is
Oh my gosh.
just completely vaporized. Could you imagine being run through by one superhero, let alone two? That's just
I
not,
don't.
okay. Not superhero. Sorry, super
But the bunny.
human. It could be a deer if you want it to be.
I mean, as long as it's Bambi.
As long as what are you saying?
I'm just saying, as long as it's Bambi. Look,
You want to
Bambi was a whiner. That's all I'm
you want
saying.
to take Bambi out?
Yeah, take him out like his mother.
Uh, that's terrible. That was both his parents, man.
What? I don't even know what happened to the father. I never. You know what? I don't think I actually ever watched 100% all of Bambi.
Wait, really?
It never appealed to me. I'm a kid. I'm a boy. I had Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles, and you want me to watch a Disney movie about a deer and a bunny? No, just go away. Go. Give me
Well,
Pinocchio where it's about kids going out, drinking, smoking, having a good time. Hell yeah. You want to show
well,
me a Bambi? That's why I say no. Put Bambi in that fire.
oh, jeez. Okay, all right. Back to the point. But um, in I guess in looking at that whole universe with Brightburn and with Superman sort of like colliding into one universe is just like I it's really hard for me to wonder like because I think this goes to your point again of being like what 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 angle does Superman play with this? Does he say like this kid's just had a rough start? Well, we'll just figure things out and sort of take it from there, or does he really take it to the point of being like, hey, this kid's been really just messing everything up, so we have to do something with him. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely it's an interesting route for sure, for sure. I think there's so much you can figure out there, and there's a lot to be talked about with Brightburn, really, and with Superman. So I don't know, man. It's complicated.
I would love to see any of these crossovers. I mean, really. And I know we were kind of all over the place with the whole discussion wasn't necessarily meant to be strictly a movie review. It was just to talk about the movie to get people familiar with it and then kind of go into the other elements we talked about with it. And then, we did have one other final discussion that night when we started all this, and about who was the more crazy one anyway. Was that Brightburn or Superman? Was it the kid who was confused and underwent trauma, or was it the grown man who wears his underwear on the outside and flaunts it for all to see? I don't know. But one sounds more crazy than the other. Well, the other one at least is understandable from a mental point of view. I'm just saying, one wears footy pajamas, one had a messed up childhood. Who do you really get mad? Who do you really question?
I'm telling you right now, I'm not questioning Superman. I'm not telling him what do you want me to tell him to wear his underwear inside of his pants so he can kill me? Nah, man.
Why would
Not gonna
Superman kill you? Brightburn's the one going around killing people,
doesn't matter.
but he
I'm
at least keeps
all I'm
his
saying is
underwear in his pants.
all I'm saying is to this day there's a specific reason why no one has ever tried to attack his outfit.
Actually, his
I
outfit's been questioned a few times in the comics, including by his own son.
Well, if your son's the one questioning you, then that's different. But like,
And there's
it's
a
not
reason on the New 52, nobody was wearing their underwear on the outside. But their uniforms were still skin tight so that they weren't wearing it on the other side because you would see the lines. Now they're free ball. They're like going commando in their outfits. I'm scared now more than ever because you got grown men commandoing in tights.
I mean, that's not that surprising. I'm not that surprised. This came out when
Which one?
we're
Brightburn?
talking earliest. Well, no, the earliest issue of Superman.
Oh, well, the first issue of Superman, I think, was 1938.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
had his underwear on the outside up into the New 52.
yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I'm
I'm
not
just
surprised.
saying. But, I mean, at least he was consistent. But now people complain so much. He's like, all right, Now you can fear the skin-tight wearing commando free-balling hero. Up in the sky, look, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman's junk.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying. Think about this. This is right. You know what? P.S. Professor Oak is Thanos, and I'm not dropping that one either. Just letting you all know. But anyway. I'm just saying, I'm a little scared that come the New 52, they got so comfortable with themselves that underwear just completely went out the window. And not just Superman, like I said, Batman too. There was just no underwear going around. The whole Justice League, it was just as free. No underwear. We know Wonder Woman never wore a bra, so she was already ahead of the curve.
Well, I
You know,
mean,
Power Girl didn't because half her chest was exposed anyway to show, like, hey, ain't nothing under here. Supergirl, don't even get me started.
what I was gonna say, what case can you really make there?
I really
What
can't, but
case can we make for superheroes going around dressing however they'd like? Because the truth is,
they're hot. The women get away with it because they're hot, and the guys aren't going to complain. And the women are going to be like, just the women are going to be like, this gives me something to aspire to because she's not only got the body, but she's also got somebody to look up to morally. And the men are going to be like, you don't care about the morals? She's hot. Look.
they're
Like,
like,
she
yeah,
can do what
I
she
don't know.
wants. I don't care. Rob a bank here, Wonder Woman. Let me hold the bag. I don't understand. Like, I don't care. She's hot. Wonder Woman's in front of me now. Held the gun to 3 people's heads. So I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to be like, I'm sorry. My eyes are focused, ma'am, and it's not at yours. You do what you got to do. I'm okay.
I'll just watch you the whole time. It's okay.
It's
Okay.
true. It's true. If you're going to shoot them, please bend over this way so I can get a good view, not of the
Yeah.
gun. I'm just saying. Just saying. Men wouldn't care. That's why they can get away. The female superheroes get away with it. The men. Well, first off, if you're brave enough to tell Batman what to do, you obviously have a death wish. In any universe, nobody tells Batman what to do. He gets away with it. Nobody.
I agree there. I agree on that one.
And
Yeah, we're not trying to throw shots at Batman. That's not smart for anybody.
so, I mean, let's be honest. The only reason they get away with it is who's going to stop them.
But that's but again that's the same case that we're making with Brightburn though.
Well, yes, I said there's nobody on his world to stop them.
That's
The only
see
thing
this is
is, though, if other here's what I'm curious though: is it only his ship that he's weak against, or is it the material or that his technology and race or that his technology is made of to give off? Like, is he weak to all of it? So if they were to do an invasion, would they actually be hurting themselves instead of sending a one-off person? Because the more they show up and he's weak to all their metal or whatever, or their metal, the metal can cut him, then that's just increasing, that's just increasing chances of him getting hurt.
yeah, and I mean like I don't know. I do think that like the I do think that's part of the reason why it does seem very much a nod to Clark and to Superman because of the idea of like I think just the idea of like pieces of your home planet are sort of the thing that like humanize you. Um, so like with him, it's very much like a thing that that I I I feel like maybe it's not necessarily like all materials or like even just being around others that are like him, but I do think it's like I I do think that there's something to be said about like like specific things that are sort of tied um to like his original origin. So the fact that like it's it's the ship that he came on. So I don't know if it's necessarily like all metal or if it's almost like just the metal from his ship that affects him.
Well, okay, so we went an hour and 40 minutes with this conversation, some of which I will have to cut out, but people will never know what parts. But I think we've covered pretty much every basis we need to. So I guess we could just close with, do you think this movie, did you like the movie enough that it should have a sequel?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I am in the same boat. I would love to see a sequel with it.
Yeah,
I would actually like to see a down, like, I don't want to see a happy ending to the sequel. I want to see an invasion and the conquering of her. I want to see the race, like, the bad guys win, so to speak, because that would be realistic. That would be plausible. I want to see, like, a finite conclusion, like, this is what's happening. This is, deal with it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I do think that like that's very much the trajectory of the narrative anyway, because like the fact that they're willing to say like, oh well, he's already on a destructive path, and then to end it, he's still on a much more destructive path. I
don't see an invasion. No, I don't see an invasion. I see them going more the direction of the rest of the race never comes into play, and it'll just come down to him versus the Earth.
And then people are just going to be going around trying to stop him in the camp.
Pretty much. I think there's going to be destruction, a lot of destruction before Brightburn is finally brought down. Because we haven't. It depends on how far also in the future they make, how far along they make the sequel if they do it.
That's true, because I was going to say what if they try to go that route, what they could do. Okay, I just randomly dropped something, but
don't worry, all of us heard. Don't worry.
But I was gonna say if they were going to go that route with like just leaving Brightburn as being sort of like the one to go on the destructive path, one way that they could look at it is then maybe in a similar way they have another cop who's like sort of on the case, but he eventually maybe finds where his weakness is. And then they sort of start going on this hunt to be like, okay, well, how do we stop him before he keeps like just destroying everything for no rhyme or reason other than the fact that he can.
Cookies.
Well, that too. They have to bring the cookies back. They got to bring the cookies back.
Oh, they're gonna up it. It's gonna become Pepperidge Farm. They're gonna like. It's gonna be give them like Mint Milano cookies. Those are like the best cookies in the world. I don't care.
The best cookies? Hold on.
Those are the best. Look, Mint Milanos are the best. Sorry. I'm sorry to burst every. They are the best cookies in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Mint Milanos are just so freaking awesome. They're way better than the chocolate chip cookies he was eating.
Oh, whoa. Did you see the smile on his face?
Yeah, but that also could be you don't know what he was. Look, I'm just saying. He had nobody to tell him no. He maybe when he finally asked now, nobody said no, and he could. I'm just saying.
Oh, so what you're saying is that the light came from the fact that he could just take the cookie, not that he had to ask for the cookie.
No. It's kind of like the cookie for him at that moment was like a cigarette after sex. It really was. There is no. It's not that the cigarette is so much better. It's just the nice topping. It's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's that finisher. It's the deal cincher. You know. It's like I had this, but this is the cool down. You know, this is the relaxing. This is bringing me down. Brings it all around. That's what that cookie represented. That was the aftermath. That was my hair is a mess. I got a shit-eating green on my face. I got what I wanted. I'm excited. I'm happy. Here's my fucking cookie.
That's how you got to end it. That's how you got to end it right there.
We're done. I got my fucking cookie. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. I know this whole thing was completely messed up, random, and made no sense, and that's the beauty of this. That's
Yeah.
why it's called Derailed. It doesn't stay on track. But so I'm Car Dreamer. This has been my friend.
Human.
Yep, Demi-Human. I love it. And till next time, I will talk to you all later.